So I've gone ahead and cleaned up a little bit of my primary form, and I have my second form here for add item to order. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to add a button here, first of all, to say add item. So we'll add that button, pull up our properties dialog, and we'll say add item to order. Resize my button to fit. And I'm going to give this button a name. We'll call it BTN add item. And the goal here is that I'd be able to click on that button and then add an item to my order. So to start off, the first thing I need to do is I need to think through the process of how am I going to track and add items to my order. Now, you have to think of this as a conversation that's occurring between two people. You have the form acting as one person, this main form, and then you have the add item to order form acting as a second person. So the code that you write actually has to act as a conversation between the two forms. So to start off, we're going to think about this main form as being a person. And I'm going to go ahead and actually hide all of this code. I shall just comment it out. This button no longer even exists, so I'll comment that out as well. And we'll comment out that. So on this form, we have a sales order object. Now the form owns this object. So you can think of the sales order object almost like a clipboard that would have an order written on it. And since this form owns this order, then what we need to do is we need to first initialize that variable and say, when this form loads, create a new sales order. So the form itself will hold this order. And then once the form has its order in hand, then we'll go through the steps of actually walking through the mechanics of adding items to that order. So back to the form, when the person clicks on this button, we want to then call to add item, the add item form, and say, come up, load to the user, and then present them with the options for products to add to their order. So we'll go ahead and we will double click on that button. Double clicking on that button will create the event handler for the click event. And the steps that we need to go through will include things such as open add item form. We will want to capture the selected item. We will want to add the selected item to the order. We will want to update the order list, and then we want to update the order total. All right, so let's start out by just simply opening the add item form. So to do that, the form itself is an object or a class. So we will actually say that we need a new add item form. So we'll say add item to order form, and we'll call it the add item form, will be the name of our variable for this new form, equals new add item to order form. Then to open a window, we say the name of the window or the name of the form, and then we say show. And you can either show or you can do show dialog. Now the difference between these two is that when you call show simply opens up another window, and the two windows are independent. You can toggle between them, you can move to other windows, and you have this liberty or freedom to do whatever you want within the application. It just becomes another window that's open on your screen. Show dialog, on the other hand, says that the new window that's being opened is being opened as a dialog box, and it must be completed and dismissed before you can come back to the main form. So it's basically you must complete step 1 before you can come back to step 2. So I'm going to go ahead and use that option, show dialog. And you'll see here that when you call show dialog, you also get back what's called a dialog result. And that can be a useful piece of information that we can use later. But for now, we'll just stick with this. So let's go ahead and just run our application as it is and see where we are. All right, and it appears that I received a build error, so I must have missed something in all of that code changing. So let me click no. And then my error is here. It says the name order created does not exist. So I'm going to double click on that error. It's going to take me to the line that threw the error, and this variable underscore order created no longer exists in my application. So what I did is I removed the private variable and I created just this public property called order created. So what I'll do is I'll take this property name and I'll just use it instead of the private variable on the initialize. All right, so then we'll go ahead and try to build and run again. Oh, I actually typed an extra character, and let's try it one more time. Success. All right, so as the app loads up, so now here's our primary form with our current order, which is nothing in it. And if we click the Add Item to Order button, we get our dialog. Now, just to demonstrate what I meant by a dialog is that I cannot click back into the main form until I dismiss this. Now, dismissing it means I can simply close it, and then I come back, or through some sort of mechanics of the Add to Order button, I have to do something that causes this window to close. All right, so we've got that dialog set up in place, and now the next steps will be simply to wire up the mechanics of the Add Item to Order.